All right, it's Friday, and we are doing our Friday financial wrap up. As you can see, I am still on location in Mexico, and I've got my good friend Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. It's kind of funny. You look like that man that they put in a shadow on purpose, so we don't know who it is, just talking mysteriously. But we'll stare at the background because that's gorgeous. Last time was a pool. Now we got the city.
Yeah, witness protection.
Witness protection, exactly.
Right on the documentaries. I love it. So anyway, an interesting week. Let's talk about earnings. Let's talk about Wall Street. Let's talk about earnings. We kind of preceded last week saying that there are a lot of big companies, and let's talk about earnings. What did you see this week?
Yeah. So again, we talked about last week, 30% of the S&P 500 which is reporting earnings this week. And, big tech, Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, Apple, all of them are reporting. And for the lion's share of them, they just reported monster numbers, blowout numbers, which is kind of to be expected from big tech. But even more importantly, kind of the next important segment, we got like Caterpillar and McDonald's and Starbucks and all these others that are giving us a feel for what's going on in the industrial economy with, Caterpillar, or the consumers with Starbucks and McDonald's. And lo and behold, as I think we've shared for the last couple of weeks, we are in the sunlight, right? We have left this darkness. We've officially entered good times. And, there were some misses, like Twitter had a miss, and a few others, but the lion's share were very good earnings. I mean, record-breaking earnings. I think Amazon was like $28 a share, and Facebook was like 18, or it's just like mind-boggling numbers. And yeah, I think earnings for the most part were good. As we shared last time, it's less about the past, it's more about the future. And that's why Twitter got hit, because if you just looked at the past, Twitter exceeded top and bottom line, exceeded revenue, exceeded earnings, but their expected users of their platform, monetized users, was down. So they got hit by like 11 or 12%, because again, they're seeing potentially slower growth. There's some companies talking about inflation. The copper, for example, is now at a 12 or 13-year high. A lot of industrial uses in copper. We heard Coca-Cola is raising prices, Procter and Gamble is raising prices, General Mills. There's a lot of inflation in the consumer space, which is something to watch for. But overall, earnings were blowouts, kind of in a nutshell.
I just want to note too, for especially our regular viewers, people that really pay attention to this, you called it. You said that they were going to talk about inflation, Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola specifically, you named last week. And so is there anything else there? Because I know one of our topics today is inflation. Is there anything else? I mean, what are you seeing specific? I know with the earnings, they talked about it a little bit. Is there anything else? And or let's even, for our viewers, how does it relate to the real estate? How does it relate to the single family asset?
Oh, there you go. That's an interesting twist. And it's a little bit of a dominoes to get there, but this is why I do this, or this is why I've been watching the consumer for 30 years. Because when you can understand what the consumer is, which is, oh, by the way, 68.2% of our economy, if you can figure out what's impacting them, and then you understand how that impacts rates, and how rates in fact payment, and payment impacts consumers, it does all tie together. So in essence, what I'm looking for with all of the earnings, and again, we talked about last week, is there's two things I was looking for. I did not care about what the earnings actually were, because I knew they were all going to blow them out. What I was interested in is who's going to talk about inflations and having to raise prices. We've talked about that, but also who's going to start talking about the future. Because what happened over the last 4 quarters is companies had permission not to tell us, right? Everybody's first pandemic, right? So they didn't know what to do. They just stopped talking about it. I don't know what's going to happen. It's unknown, first time. So I'm not going to give you anything. And that's why analysts have been guessing so spectacularly wrong, because they haven't been getting any information to make educated guesses. They were just blindly guessing. So now people are talking about the future. And for the most part, they're like, consumers coming out, same store sales out. Airlines are talking about being profitable or above break even by the summer. Hotels are raising prices. Occupancies are up. In essence, as expected, the consumer is coming out swinging. As we get to 50% of adults having first dose, people are going to get excited. We are in the sunlight, man. And everything I heard on the earnings announcements about the future were positive, whether it was restaurants, whether it was, hotels. I mean, stuff that just slammed. People are like, it's getting better. It's getting better. And when that happens, how it gets to housing is that is eventually going to impact rates. The question is it this year, next year, the year after, because rates affect payment, payment affects housing. So it is all connected. I do not see anything impacting rates marginally. I mean, making them explode higher this year. So we do have some time to still do deals at record low interest rates, but rates won't be this way in 2 years for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we'll be talking about this 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Remember when?
Yeah, the pandemic and when interest rates were 2 and 3%.
Yeah, can you remember getting a 2% mortgage? Or I mean, now people talk about 18% mortgages. We're going to be talking about 2%. Wow, remember that time?
Yeah, it's funny too, because I remember, and I've said this before, I think on our show, but I remember when I started paying attention to real estate in the early 80s, I remember my folks were like, oh, this is a great deal. We're going to assume this. They basically did a subject to, and they took over a loan that was like 8.99. And they were like, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they're explaining to me, no, the interest rate's like 12% or 15% or something stupid. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So they were bragging about,
9% basically.
Yeah, 9%. So let's talk about tax hikes. Let's talk about, I know Biden, I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch all of it, but I know that there was a big meeting with Congress and then there's been a lot of stuff talking about the IRS and pumping a bunch of money into the IRS and going after the wealthy. Yeah. And a lot of what I've seen was just headlines and sound bites. So I want to get from you, what are you hearing specifically with proposed tax rate change?
Yeah, so everything right now is still a proposal. So again, they're going to go through some negotiations. But I think there's one thing you should just appreciate right now is some of the goodies that housing has enjoyed the last, for decades are going to be removed or at least significantly reduced. It's just a fact. Biden wants to spend in the order of $6 trillion on stuff. And in order to do that, in order for him to go through what's called the budget reconciliation process and essentially use a split Congress to his advantage, he has to raise the taxes somewhere. And he is going to go slam the rich. He is going to go target investors. He's going to target multifamily. He's going to target single family. He's going to target capital gains and stepped up basis. And he's going to double capital gains. It's going to be punitive. Are all those going to pass? Who knows? Some of them will. Will they be as bad as he's saying? Maybe not, but they're going to be bad. So in essence, what is going to happen in real estate, because real estate is a slow moving animal. It's not like stocks, right? It's not like options. It's not like crypto, right? You get in, you get out over years. So what is very clear to me, having been through tax changes before, is Biden is going to successfully bring on a little, and I mean very, very little new supply, because some people will look at this going, I want out. The eviction moratorium, non-payment, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm done. I'm going to sell in 2021 so I don't pay 40% next year. You're going to get some people to do that. But what's really going to happen is real estate investing, and I've talked about it on my channel. My channel, I've told you, I want to go buy as many single family homes as I can for the next 2 or 3 years. And then I will 1031 into apartments just like I did last time. There's a chance that goes away. So what do? Well, I'm certainly not going to sell in an environment where there's 40% taxes. I will just hold. So what was going to happen is more inventory was going to come on because it was part of the plan, right? The tax code used to incent real estate investors to go bigger. And I wanted to do that again. Well, they're going to remove that incentive. So now I'll just keep my houses and I'll just never sell. So where I have some houses that would be great first time buyer homes, they're just going to be a rent for cash flow. No problem on the conservative nature. But unfortunately, that means there'll be less first time home buyers available. I think the first time home buyer, the affordable home, people will, but by next year, I think there's the affordable single family home is going to be a unicorn. It's going to be hard to find.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's a crazy time that we're in, and it's interesting to see. I really hope the 1031 does not go away, because I feel like it stimulates. It's such a good, it's really jobs, and that construction and transactions. There's like 50 people that touch those transactions. So let's hope that the 1031 does not change. But even if it does, we're adapting. We know what we need to do. Seller financing will become huge. Would you agree?
Yep, I agree. Seller finance.
So let's talk about unemployment. Let's wrap up with unemployment. What's going on with employment right now? What did you see in the numbers this last week? We had a little technical difficulty. I am in Mexico, so sometimes the internet glitches a little bit, but it's fine. Here I am doing a live stream remotely. So how beautiful, what a beautiful world we live in. We won't get upset about it.
Nope.
So
thank you for that.
let's wrap up. Let's talk about unemployment. What did you see with unemployment, and what do you think happens with jobs as we progress into the year?
Oh, I think this is the one I feel good about, because I was calling this early, right? The daily financial news and all that. I was calling this months ago. We are clearly standing in the sun. We had another low bar for unemployment claims. The big talk next Friday. Mark this down. May 7th is going to be a big day. May 7th, we're going to have the April jobs creation number. Just for comparison, the March number, which is the last one we have record for, was 916,000 jobs created in the month of March. I believe right now, telling you this on April 30th, that on May 7th, we are going to report a number over 1.5 million. And there's somebody out there that's even more bullish than me. Jeffries is calling for 2.1 million. So again, the job picture is improving. Is it fixed? No. Is it getting better? Yes. It's getting better. Hell yes. So again, we are in the sun. Jobs are coming back. Service industry, hotels, restaurants. I mean, Southwest is calling back their flight attendants. It's all goodness. It gets better from here. And where this goes is, I think we have wage inflation. One of the things that we have seen over the years is the employee has kind of lost out as the employer has got more of the goodies. I believe we are seeing a change in that, and the employer is going to lose a little, and that is going to fall to the bottom line for the employee. And oh, by the way, if you happen to be a landlord, that means eventually rents go up, because what is rents and what is housing prices based on? Income. So again, I think we are going to start a roaring 20s. I think it's going to run 3 or 4 years. I'm excited by what is coming.
I love it, Michael. It's funny too. I have so many friends that like are our age or in our age bracket, in their 40s, 50s, and they're just doom and gloom, and they just think it's 2007 and this pandemic is going to somehow explode. And I really think they're missing the boat. I want to emphasize two things. You think it's going to be a 2 or 3 year run?
Oh, easily. Yeah. I don't see how you can have all this stimulus coming and all of the consumers have record savings that we don't have at least a 2 or 3 year run. I'm not calling a decade, right? I'm not calling the roaring 20s, but I'm willing to say the next 2 or 3 years are going to be above trend. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's spot on. And you're looking at and this is the beauty about, for the viewer, is that Michael's actually doing the research. He's spending hours and hours reading reports, reading, different financial news articles, really digging in and looking at real data. So that's the difference. So I just want to also emphasize one thing you said, and I want to make sure, I want to put an exclamation mark on this. You believe single family assets, and you're a big apartment guy right now, right? You started single family and then you transitioned to multifamily. But just to be clear for the listener, you believe right now for the next 2 or 3 years that single family homes, single family houses are the best asset class to invest in. Is that, I just want to be really clear. Without
question. If you're getting started in one rental at a time, you have a tremendous setup. You're about to have more inventory. You still can get 30-year money with a 3 or a low 4. We are going to have inflation. We are going to have rent growth. I mean, just in the last 48 hours on Instagram, folks, I put out two pictures you should really understand. One is that rent growth for many of the areas is up double digits, 10 and 11%. And again, if you have fixed rate debt and the rent grows, guess who gets that entire rent growth? The owner gets that. In addition, we are seeing price increases. I mean, again, there's just been a never a better time to get your 4 rental houses. 30-year money, artificially low, into an inflationary environment with, oh, by the way, tax policies that are going to make the freaking single family home a unicorn. Next year, the year after, you aren't going to be able to find them. It's just, do the homework now, man. Get in the course, do the work. Man, now's the time.
I love it. I couldn't agree with you more. Now is the time. What a great opportunity we have. Thank you, Michael. You're so gracious. Thank you for being flexible this morning. I want to just emphasize, there's probably a few of you, if you're seeing this for the first time, especially if you're seeing it in Facebook, do yourself a favor. Follow Michael at One Rental at a Time. He's on YouTube. He does the best thing I think you do, the financial news every day. I don't even watch the news anymore because I just basically listen to Michael and what he does, the summary of it. I let him do all the heavy lifting, and then I get the easy part. I just get to ask, a handful of great questions and really tee it up. So Michael, also too, I know that we gave away a lot of books, and thank you for that for the Squad Up Real Estate Mastermind. I just want to encourage everybody, if you've gotten the book, whether you paid for it or got it complimentary from Michael, please go on to Amazon, give him a 5-star review. It helps. It's part of his metrics of his contribution and what he's up to do good in the world. Michael, as always, thank you so much for your time and being so gracious, man.
Hey, no worries, man. Enjoy Mexico.
Thank you.